Hey everyone, welcome to the 25th episode of the Crushing Cash Game series. We open up with aces at the bottom right. Pretty much have no choice but to c-bet the monotone board. If we get raised, then frankly we probably just have to fold. Players aren't bluffing enough in that spot. They have good equity even when they are bluffing. We can't really call two more bets. I guess it's very opponent specific in that if guys are very aggressive and liable to attack that board, then maybe we can peel and call off two streets. But I think overall the best plan is going to be to just fold to a raise. Ace queen at the bottom left, flopping top two. Don't think that the under the gun raiser is going to c-bet that often on an ace high board against two players. Trying to put a bet out on the flop, create a little deception with our top two, and prevent the check through on the flop. As always, if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please feel free to do so. I have started this session. It's been going for a little while. So we do have some data on our opponents. Looks as if at the top left table, the 3 seat is going to be a fish. The 4 seat is going to be a fish. The 6 seat is going to be a fish. So pretty good setup. Check raising with the king queen at the top left and then putting him in for value. Short stack. With his small bet on the flop, felt like he didn't have a ton of value. At the top right table, looks as if the 2 seat is likely to be a weak spot, the 1 seat, and don't really know about the other ones. They're full stacked, so when my opponents are full stacked, generally I let them prove to me that they're irregular until they do something that is just, unjustifiable, and then I label them, an incognito fish, full stacker with reg looking stats that, he's wearing those glasses with the nose and the funny mustache, trying to blend in. At the bottom right table, doesn't look like there are any weak spots. But we are new to that table, so maybe somebody will prove to us that they're a fish and not everybody's a regular. 3-betting king queen suited. This guy hasn't folded to a 3-bet yet. We've been 3-betting very regularly. Don't know how much I love 3-betting king 10 suited there, but I would rather 3-bet it than flat, and I would rather 3-bet it than fold as well. So against a regular, I guess it depends on his frequencies. Sometimes they'll call and float us and put us in bad shape. I do think that when he does flat our 3-bet, he has a lot of ace queens in his range, has a lot of pocket pairs, probably some king queen suited. So his range is doing very well against our king 10. And once our 3-bet gets called, we're not going to be in a great spot post flop. If he's sticky, not folding to many c-bets and stuff like that, he's really going to make our lives hell. And in that situation, then I would much rather 3-bet him in position with a very low equity type hand, like 3-5 suited or something like that, than 3-bet him out of position with a hand as strong as king 10 suited. Top right, feel like the small blind is going to be isolating pretty light in this spot versus the limper. Like I said before, only 4 hands on the 1 seat, but he did limp first in the pot. That's going to be an indicator that he's a fish, and hopefully we can take advantage of that. At the bottom left table, the reason I folded the queen 10 suited is because the one seat limped in. They have only played one hand in which they raised. That type of player will be limp raising all in, and we're not going to be able to see a flop a lot of the time. When he does flat, again, he probably has a hand that dominates us, and we're out of position with no initiative, and he's a short stack, so not really good flatting. And as you can see, he did have jack. So if we flat, he's going to see the dead money in the pot, and he's going to ship it. Isolating with ace king at the top left. Reason for going 5x instead of 4x has to be that we think this villain's capable of calling 5x just as often as he's capable of calling 4x, in which case we're getting more money in the pot with the dominating range and creating more profits for ourselves. Ace-8 suited, similar situation as the last one, although we can flat with that one. I think that hand's strong enough that's going to play okay versus the 3 seat's isolating range, and the 2 seat is playing every other hand. So it's not like the same situation where the 1 seat was being a super nit and likely to have a very strong hand when he limps in. Jacks at the bottom right, kind of a precarious spot. The 1 seat has not 3-bet yet. They're not super active post. We have been very active, very aggressive. I don't think we can fold jacks on the turn here. Once we flat, we have a lot of sets in our range, in my opinion. Maybe we have some backdoor flush draws and stuff like that. I don't think villain can really bluff here. So obviously, a lot of times on the river, we're hoping for a check-check. If the Queen of Hearts isn't the river card, we're going to likely be in a tough spot just because of our stats. They're going to think that we're somewhat sticky. We haven't folded to a 3-bet yet. We're not at the top of our range because we have 9s and 10s that are really protecting our range, but jacks is a very strong hand for that situation from us. It just comes down to the likelihood he's gonna triple barrel versus a range that could include a bunch of sets. Not sure if you guys have checked out my video vault on enhanceyouredge.com. I have 14 videos posted on there so far. Some of them are some of the smaller stakes, $50 no limit, $100 no limit. If you like my mid stakes content, and you play the lower stakes, and I think that those videos will be especially helpful for you. Really love the top left table, even though that appears to be the table that we're doing the worst at. Ironically, sometimes that happens where we have one just amazing table with value, and that's the table that we just can't win at, and we're crushing at the tougher tables. It makes no sense, but that's just life sometimes. I did get word today that in the next couple of weeks they are going to be fixing OBS, which is the streaming software for Twitch for Macs. So in a few weeks I will start streaming. I'm gonna come up with a schedule and do it the right way. I hope everybody enjoys. If you have any suggestions, leave me a comment on this video. You can send me a message on the Reddit poker boards. Brad S. Wilson's my username. You can send me an email, brad@enhanceyouredge.com. However you want to do it, I will read it. I will reply. If you ever have any questions about my videos, you can also just get in touch with me in a myriad of ways, and I'll get back to you. I promise. Top right table. I'm not especially scared of the 5. The only hand we're going to get real value from now is a king. We're probably not going to get 2 streets, so no reason to bet the turn. The 1 seed does have some 5s in his range, so we do want to check behind the turn and pay off only 1 bet when he does have his 5s, and we also get to get called by kings when he does have a king. In this situation, I really have no idea what he called the flop with. I mean, maybe a small pocket pair. Even his gut shots made pairs that might be inclined to call the river. Not 3-betting with 10s at the top left. This is reasonable. There's a lot of fish at that table. We want to invite them to join in the pot. We also keep the initial raisers full under the gun range in there, so even if it's heads up, the 10s dominate a large portion of his range. Our hand's a little deceptive. We can get a lot of value out of it. So if we do 3-bet the 10s, then oftentimes he's going to be flatting us with hands that have good equity against us, like ace queen, king queen suited, queen jack suited potentially. Unlikely that he's just going to be straight up set mining. And then when he 4-bets us, we're not in very good shape. Even though when he does 4-bet us, we do save some bets post flop when he does have the premium hands on low boards like deuce 4-6. We save ourselves a lot of trouble by 3-betting and then just folding to the 4-bet. But in this situation, it's going to be way more profitable to invite the fish in the pot and play the hand in a dominating spot versus the villain. Well, as I said, at the top left table, as I said that the game was very sick. These things can often change very fast. Now the game doesn't look especially great. I guess we'll have to see how the new players are. But top right table, the 1 seat is, we're happy about him. Playing 50% of hands, raising 7, just your average whale. And at the top right, the whale being in the big blind when we're on the button, that's going to affect our button raises by, we're going to open 3x, maybe sometimes 4x if we feel like he's going to be flatting his entire range versus 3x and 4x. If it's exactly the same, then why not go bigger when we have dominating hands in position? I know it can be seen as something that the small blind villain can exploit, but he's not going to want to mess with us a super ton because he's going to recognize that our 4x raise represents a strong range and value and that we're likely just getting it heads up against the fish. So he's not going to mess with us that much. The goal when we have the fish at the table is we want to be involved with the fish. We want to play him in heads up pots. We want to have as many opportunities to make better decisions than him as possible. And you don't get that by playing really tight and only playing the top of your range. You get that by just getting in there, mixing it up, creating spots where you have an information advantage, a positional advantage, initiative advantage, and really just exploiting the fish. Gonna peel with the king jack. Even though everything that I just said about the fish is true, I'm not in love with a hand like king jack suited against this fish when he's opening, because he doesn't appear to be opening a ton, and a lot of his opening range does have us dominated. If he limps, then we for sure raise for value and try to build a bigger pot, because then we dominate most of his range that just limp calls. The bottom left table, we need to be opening the button pretty liberally with the nit and the big blind. I think queen deuce off should be an open, and if the small blind 3-bets us, we're going to be 4-betting him a ton. I think one of the problems why people just why sometimes you go into autopilot and you just fold a hand like queen deuce there is, obviously it's not a tier 1 hand. It's just a junky garbage type hand, but we're exploiting the big blind's tendency to fold pre-flop, and also the small blind is prone to 3-bet. He's going to recognize that we're exploiting that fact. He's going to 3-bet us a lot, and we have a plan. We have a plan to react versus him. Top 2 at the top right. Hopefully getting a call from the 1 seat. A raise is just as good. Question here is, do we bet 3-bet or do we just flat and raise a turn bet? Against this particular fish, gonna be bet 3-betting, because gonna be bet 3-betting. He's unlikely to fold. He's playing a ton of hands. We basically have him crushed. As you can see, he had the nut flush draw, and we didn't hold up. Really nothing we can do. Any hand that he's raising us with on the flop, like check raising us with, he's not likely to fold to a bet 3-bet. So, no reason to get tricky. Cold 4-betting queens at the bottom right. Not going to love it if the 4-seat shoves, but we pretty much have to call. Once we opt to cold 4-bet, he's going to have ace-king in his range some, and, if we do cold 4-bet with jacks and he ships on us, then it's just going to be a fold. Ace-king off is tough. Much easier to fold jacks than ace-king off, or ace-king suited. We have no info on villain. If they're willing to get jacks in there, then obviously ace-king suited is going to be a call. Good news about doubling the fish up at the top right is he's, as KGB or Kanish might say, he's gonna put that glimmer in play. He's not gonna sit on it. It's not gonna grow dust. It's gonna that's pretty funny. or he's just gonna snap leave after we double him up, and he will put that glimmer back in play. He'll join another table and buy in and dust it off, but I guess for now he's just gonna rat hole it and let that be that. The psychological, it's a funny psychological experiment with the rat holing. Folding the ace-6 off, the big blind does 3-bet a ton. They do not fold the 3-bets either, so limp raise at that depth is going to be tricky. He's going to be 3-betting us if we straight open with the ace-6, and we're just not, it's a pretty much unplayable hand. If he's floating us and putting pressure, like ace-6 is just, it looks okay blind versus blind, but the reality is it's going to be very, very hard to play. But yeah, the psychology of rat holing when you're a fish like that, leaving a table and joining another table with like half the stack is just it's funny to me because the money's already gone. Their account's pretty much already bust. They just don't know it yet, but they want to celebrate that victory by leaving. So now the table at the top right doesn't look so good anymore. Bottom left looks good. Really need to be raising in the cutoff and button. Have to open very wide at this point. Have to be 4-betting the 6 seat when he's 3-betting us. Just necessary evil. He knows that we're going to be opening a ton because of the fish who's in the big blind and the nit who's in the small blind, which if he's aware enough to know that we're going to be opening a ton, he's going to be aware enough to 3-bet us and really attack our wide opening range. Top right table, very small, out of position raise by the 2 seed. What kind of range does that rep? Doesn't look like they're wanting a fold. On this type of board, you would just have to believe that they have a lot of straights in their range. They have a lot of sets. If you have aces are just a bet fold by the 3 seat there. The 6 seat, I guess the hand the 6 seat could have would be Jack 9. That would be a legitimate hand to call the small raise on the flop. They have equity. They have a chance. When they call the turn so quickly, makes me believe that they picked up additional equity with whatever hand there was. So they also had a backdoor flush draw. That would be a hand that is pretty much a no-brainer to call the turn and instantly folds the river. Three betting with the tens can be tricky if we get 4-bet. It really looks like a squeeze. This guy's only played 9 hands. He's opening pretty wide. Flat flop, check raise, turn with our ace-10. We called too quickly on the river there. That river is just got to be a raise. We just need to, we have to raise the river with top 2. Tens at the top left. Like I said, it's going to be tricky, but flopping top set makes it not so tricky. He's going to be shoving pretty wide. Yeah, so that's
can't really say that I'm in love with his play there with sixes. As it turned out, I guess his flush draw was live, but a lot of times, we have aces, kings, queens with the queen of clubs, and he is in not such great of shape with his sixes there. I don't. That's just a spew in my opinion. Getting ace king very next hand, three betting can potentially be on tilt. Um, Probably going to be facing a lot of light four betting. Should have let my time run down some before I shipped to just create a little bit more doubt in his mind. Going back to the ace 10 hand on the river, I don't think when he has value, he knows that we have a lot of aces in our range. He knows we have some two pairs. He's going to bet larger. He's going to bet like 60 to 70% of the pot instead of, I'm not even sure what it was, but like 22%, we'll call it 22% of the pot. Simply because he took such a strong line on the turn, made me slow down. I kind of autopiloted the river. I called it very fast, and that's something that happens. You get one idea stuck in your head that this is not a good spot. We do have top two, but he called the flop, check raise this minimum on the turn, and you're already planning to call the river, and you get new information, and you don't give yourself time to process it. So the lesson in that spot is, instead of just autopiloting and pre-making your decision, like you can always give yourself a couple of seconds to think through things just a little better. There's no there's no reason not to. The game doesn't suffer. Like if you really force yourself to make decisions very fast, you're going to miss out on value. You're going to miss out on opportunities. So you need to train yourself to give yourself a little time with decisions that are going to be a large percentage of your stack or a good value spot. You want to maximize all your opportunities. 7-5 suited on the button is going to be an open. Not much action right now. Our hands are not cooperating, and when we do flop a set, we're not holding up. So we look to be up a pretty big clip when this video started, and now things have taken a little negative turn. Should have maybe we should have made that right turn in Albuquerque, but this is just poker. Things don't always go your way. Things don't always work out the way that you want them to. You can execute perfectly. You can do the things you can make the right plays and just get bad results, and it can happen over. This is a very small sample size. It can happen over a very large sample size, and it can make you question everything you know. And so you just have to keep plugging away, keep a strong mind, meditate, eat right, exercise, go on walks, really prime your brain for positivity before your session begins. Cold shipping from the big blind by the 6 seed at the bottom left. Can't say that I love the play. Have to assume he has a lot of ace kings in his range, and probably going to get looked up only by aces, kings, and some queens, and he's just not going to be doing very good against those ranges. He should be four betting, 106, something like that, to make it look like he might have some bluffs in his range. Like when he just ships it there, he has no bluffs in his range. There's no doubt. I would be absolutely floored if somebody called one of those cold 4-bet ships one day and the shipper just showed up with 7-8 suited. Well, thank you guys. This is the conclusion of this week's Crush Cash Game video. Thank you for listening. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, again, please take a second to do that. Gonna see you in the Twitch world in just a couple of weeks whenever OBS puts out the software update. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.